A rap star with a $5 million mansion just lost everything to a $7 million tax bill while his wife fights for their Mississippi farm. Kevin Gates always called himself the realist in the game, but nobody expected his personal life to blow up like this. The Baton Rouge rapper who once stood on stage talking about his 2 phones and his street hustle is now caught in a messy divorce. That's showing the world what happens when money, fame, and family all crash together. In July 2025, his longtime wife Dreka filed for divorce after being together for years, and the details coming out are wild. We're talking about millions in unpaid taxes, cars piling up in driveways, and a Mississippi farm about to get taken away. This isn't just another celebrity breakup story. This is about how someone can go from selling out concerts to potentially losing it all, and what that means for the family caught in the middle. Kevin Gates, whose real name is Kevin Jerome Gilliard, was born February 5, 1986, and grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He didn't have an easy childhood and spent time going in and out of trouble with the law. But music became his way out. He started making mixtapes in the late 2000s and slowly built a name for himself in the southern rap scene. People loved his raw, honest lyrics that talked about real struggles, real pain, and real life on the streets. He wasn't trying to be fake or put on a show. Gates rapped about depression, about mistakes, about trying to be better, and fans connected with that energy. His voice was different too. It had this gritty quality that made every word feel heavy and real. His big break came in 2013 with a mixtape called The Luca Brasi Story. Critics loved it, and suddenly everyone was paying attention to this guy from Louisiana who could rap and sing at the same time. He signed a deal with Atlantic Records and kept dropping more music. Then came his debut album Isla in January 2016. The album was named after his daughter, and it debuted at number 2 on the Billboard chart, selling over 112,000 copies in the first week. That's massive for any artist, especially one who came up the hard way without big industry connections. The album showed that Gates wasn't just another street rapper. He had depth. He could be vulnerable and tough at the same time. The single "The Phones" became his biggest hit ever, peaking at number 17 on the charts, and you couldn't go anywhere without hearing that song. The hook was catchy, the beat was hard, and Gates delivered it with that signature gritty voice that made him stand out. Another single called Really Really also blew up and eventually got certified 5 times platinum. These weren't just songs, they were anthems. People played them at parties, in their cars, at the gym, everywhere. Gates had finally made it to the mainstream, and the album Isla ended up getting certified triple platinum, which meant it moved serious units. For someone who spent years grinding in the underground, this was validation that all the hard work paid off. He wasn't just famous in Louisiana anymore. He was a national star, but success came with problems too. Gates had legal issues throughout his career. In 2016, he served 180 days in jail for kicking a fan during a concert. That incident got a lot of attention, and not the good kind. He also struggled with staying out of trouble and managing his image. Despite all that, he kept making music, and his fanbase stayed loyal. He dropped more albums over the years, including I'm Him in 2019, Causa in 2022, and The Ceremony in 2024. Each project showed growth in different sides of his personality, but none hit quite like that debut album did. Still, his fans respected that he kept going, kept being honest, and kept making music on his own terms. Now let's talk about Dreka, because she's been a huge part of Kevin's story from day one. Kevin and Dreka got married in October 2015, and they always presented themselves as a power couple in hip-hop. Dreka wasn't just his wife, she was his manager, his business partner, and the brains behind a lot of his success. Together, they built Breadwinners Association, which was Kevin's own record label, and Dreka handled the business side while Kevin focused on the music. They had 2 kids together named Isla and Causa, and Kevin even named albums after both of them, showing how important family was to him, at least publicly. In interviews, he always talked about how Dreka kept him grounded, how she understood him better than anyone, and how they were building something special together. The couple also got really into spirituality and wellness. They're both practicing Muslims and even made the pilgrimage to Mecca for Hajj in 2016. Kevin talked about his faith in interviews and how it changed his life, helped him deal with depression, and made him a better person. Dreka took things even further by getting into holistic health, natural living, and plant medicine. She started her own wellness brand and became an entrepreneur in her own right, moving beyond just being known as Kevin Gates' wife. She talked about healing, about connecting with nature, and about raising their kids in a more natural environment, away from all the Hollywood craziness. In 2020, right before COVID hit the world, the Gates family bought a 43-acre farm in Mississippi that used to be a blueberry farm. This wasn't just any property purchase. For Dreka especially, this farm represented a complete lifestyle change. She said the property transformed her and brought her back to her authentic self. The farm reminded her of summers she spent with her grandmother in Mississippi, where they raised animals and grew their own food. Dreka wanted that for her own family. The Gates family farm had pears, pomegranates, figs, bananas, apples, kale, cauliflower, herbs, and 5 acres of blueberry bushes. It was their sanctuary, their escape from the Hollywood lifestyle. Dreka hired full-time staff to maintain the property and take care of the animals. This wasn't a hobby farm, this was serious. She homeschooled the kids there, started a cannabis business called Love's Harvest, and turned the property into a wellness retreat. For a while it seemed like Kevin and Dreka had figured out the perfect balance. They had money, they had success, they had a beautiful farm away from all the noise, and they had each other. People looked at them and saw goals. They seemed grounded, spiritual, and real despite all the fame. Social media was full of pictures of them on the farm with their kids living this peaceful life that everyone wanted. But behind the scenes things were falling apart. In October 2025, Dreka filed new court documents asking for $73,000 per month in support. That breaks down to about $27,000 for child support and $46,000 in spousal support. She said she needed that much to maintain the lifestyle the family had before everything went wrong. Dreka claims she's been the primary caregiver, spending about 95% of her time with the kids since 2023. That's a huge deal because it shows Kevin wasn't really around for his family even before the divorce. While he was out touring, doing shows, and living his life, Dreka was home raising their children by herself. The financial allegations are where things get really ugly. Dreka accused Kevin of dismantling the financial foundation of their family starting in late 2021. She said he cut off money for basic expenses. We're talking about property taxes not getting paid and their children's private school tuition going unpaid. At the same time, Dreka claims Kevin was out buying 18 luxury vehicles and spending $4.7 million on a mansion in Calabasas, California. That California house was purchased in May 2024 through something called Grand Rising Trust, and it's over 3,600 square feet in an exclusive gated community called The Oaks. This is one of the fanciest neighborhoods in Los Angeles where celebrities and wealthy people live behind gates and security. Think about that for a second. While his wife and kids were supposedly struggling to pay bills, Kevin was stacking cars in his driveway and buying million-dollar properties for himself. Dreka said in her filing that Kevin chose to cut off the family financially while showcasing his wealth publicly. That's a brutal accusation. It paints a picture of a man who cares more about looking rich than taking care of his own children. Whether it's true or not, we don't know yet, but that's what's in the court documents. And if even half of it is true, it's really bad. You can't be buying 18 cars while your kids' school bills aren't getting paid. That's not being a provider, that's being selfish. The biggest bombshell is the tax situation. According to Dreka, the IRS placed a $7 million lien on their Mississippi farm for unpaid taxes. $7 million. That's not a small mistake or a mispayment. That's years of not paying what you owe to the government. Dreka says the farm is now in foreclosure because of this massive tax debt. The same property that was supposed to be their sanctuary, their kids' home, and Dreka's wellness dream is about to get taken away. She claims Kevin stopped paying taxes and property bills in 2021, which is the same time he allegedly cut off financial support to the family. The timing can't be a coincidence. This is where the story gets really sad, because that Mississippi farm meant everything to Dreka. She poured her heart into building it, creating a natural lifestyle for her kids and turning it into a business. With her cannabis company and wellness retreats, now it's all at risk because of money problems that she says Kevin caused. The IRS doesn't play around. When they put a lien on your property for $7 million, they're coming to collect one way or another. If Kevin doesn't figure this out fast, that farm is gone. Everything Dreka built, everything the family had, will disappear because someone didn't pay their taxes. Meanwhile, Kevin has his own version of events. He's reportedly claiming that their 2015 ceremony was just a spiritual union and not a legally binding civil marriage. If that's true, it could change everything about how assets get divided and whether Dreka is even entitled to spousal support. but that seems like a tough argument to make when you've been calling someone your wife for almost 10 years and had kids together. Courts usually look at the whole situation, not just whether you signed a marriage license. If you acted like you were married, had kids together, built businesses together, and shared everything, then most judges are going to treat it like a marriage regardless of paperwork. So, what about Kevin's actual money situation? Reports say his net worth in 2025 is somewhere around $2 to $4 million, though some estimates go lower and some go higher. That might sound like a lot, but when you're facing a $7 million tax bill, and you're supposed to pay $73,000 a month in support, plus lawyer fees, plus everything else, it's not nearly enough. Kevin makes money from music sales, streaming revenue, concerts, brand deals, and merchandise. He reportedly earns between $150,000 and $300,000 per show depending on the venue. That's solid income, but it's also unpredictable. If he's not touring constantly, the money stops coming in. The truth is, Kevin's financial situation is complicated. He had a massive album in 2016, but that was almost 10 years ago. The music industry has changed. Streaming pays less than album sales used to. Artists make most of their money from tours and merch now, not from selling records. Kevin has stayed relevant and kept putting out music, but he hasn't had another hit like Phones. His fan base is still there, but it's not growing the way it was back then. Add in legal problems, personal issues, and now a divorce with massive financial claims, and you can see how someone who seemed rich could actually be struggling. Money comes in fast in the music business, but it can go out even faster. This whole situation shows how fast things can change. One day you're on top of the world with hit songs, A Beautiful Family, and a farm in Mississippi. The next day you're facing foreclosure, a divorce, and accusations that you abandoned your kids financially. Kevin Gates built his whole image on being real, on telling the truth, on not hiding from his mistakes. But now that realness is being tested in the most public way possible. Fans who looked up to him as someone who overcame struggle and stayed grounded are watching him go through something that looks like the opposite of everything he preached. It's hard to talk about being a family man when your wife is in court saying you left your kids without money. Dreka isn't innocent in all this either, though. She's asking for $73,000 a month, which is a huge amount of money. Even if Kevin has the income to support that, it's still a massive ask. Some people might look at that number and think she's trying to take him for everything he's got. Others will say she deserves it because she helped build his career, managed his business, and raised their kids while he was out touring and making music. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Divorce is messy, and when there's this much money involved, everyone's fighting for their piece. Both sides probably have valid points, and both sides probably did things wrong. The kids are the ones who really lose here. Isla is 12 years old and Kaza is 11. They're old enough to know what's happening and young enough that this is going to mess them up. Their parents are fighting in court, their home might get taken away, and their whole world is changing. Kevin named albums after both of them, which shows he cared at least at some point. But now those same kids are part of a legal battle where their mother is saying their father abandoned them financially. That's heavy stuff for anyone, especially children. They're going to remember this for the rest of their lives. Hit subscribe to see how this multi-million-dollar divorce battle ends and who walks away with what's left of the Gates empire. Claude can make mistakes. Please double check responses.